Oh, it says recording.
Okay.
Oh yeah, it says live on Facebook and it says recording. I think it works.
Amazing. But on my side, it goes preparing still, but that's fine. I guess we go.
Yeah, it does say, hold on, I'm going to look on that.
Oh, wait, I'm just going to write the description because it's asking for a description. Hi, guys. If you guys are watching, just so you know,
We're just writing a description.
We're just having fun with Zoom right now. So much fun with Zoom.
I'm looking at the Facebook page too.
You're going to have my full attention in just a minute. All right. Apparently, I've just hit go live, so now we're live. Okay.
Okay, now we're live.
Go.
Okay.
We are officially live now, as far as Zoom and Facebook are concerned. So.
Oh yeah, it's there. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Right?
Yes, it worked.
Okay, so we're working.
What do we win? Yes! I'm so proud.
Yes. Oh my God, someone high fives all around, guys. You deserve high five. Just give us some hearts right now for not having a technical nightmare.
So talented. I didn't even do anything, but I feel like I'm part of this victory.
You are absolutely part of it. High five. Yeah, okay, guys, here we go. Slightly rough start, but here we go. Happy Monday, and welcome to episode number 30 of Change School TV, our weekly dose of inspiration for your Monday mojo and mindset reset for the week ahead.
Ooh, that was so good.
Oh, thanks. I really work on that one. Okay, so last week we were not on live because we were just launching, we were in the midst of our launch for our Bold Career Move course, but we are back this week and we have a very special guest, Kim, who I'm gonna formally introduce in a moment, but Kim's on the show tonight, one of our bold ass, if I can say, boss ladies from our Humans of Change community, and she's here to share her story of change and bold tips so we can all start to live more boldly. Okay, I've got a really brief intro, and then Kim, I'm going to let you do an intro you're comfortable with. But for those of you who don't know, Kimberly Weiss is a teacher, speaker, and coach on a mission to dismantle diet culture and help women not feel like shit. I love that. She works with smart women that are into body positivity but still struggle with food and body and want to stop giving their power away and trust themselves. So Kim, I'm so excited to have you on the show tonight. Thank you so much. And I hope that intro was okay, but if you want to add anything on, maybe give people a little snapshot of who you are, what you do.
Sure. Thank you for the intro. I'm so excited to be here. I feel like you covered it. I think the only thing I would add is that, like, you know, the reason, like, I do think I'm bold. I do say shitty. I do all these things, but it comes from this place of, like, deep love. And it comes from this place of wanting to create this world where less, 6, 7, 8-year-old girls feel bad about themselves, right? It's all starts with this. And I find, like, with my work, a lot of times people have this story of, like, when they first realized their body was a problem or something that had to be fixed. It's always when we're younger. And so this work that I do, like, it's rooted in this, like, this place of love of, like, let's stop that so that doesn't happen anymore, and let's see how we're doing it with ourselves and how we've been doing it with ourselves our whole lives. And so, like, yes for the boldness, and yes for, like, feeling less shitty, but also, like, it is out of love. So
absolutely
love for all.
Oh, cutie. Yeah, of course. No, I hear you. And I know, I mean, we've gotten some interesting email responses when we've been bolder with our language in our emails before. And it's so true. Like, it can easily be misunderstood.
Sure.
So it's cool that you clarify that. And yeah, it's so true. It's all from the heart, isn't it?
Yeah.
Awesome. So we are talking about how to be bold when it feels impossible. And I know you've got some awesome stories to share, but I thought we could kick off because I think bold is just one of those really fun, awesome, and stretchy words that probably mean different things to a lot of people. So let's start by just hearing from you, like, what does it mean to you? And, maybe tell us about a time where you've had to be bold in your life or in your work.
Yeah, I love that question because I think like, yeah, defining words is so important and we all have such different meanings for how we do things. And like we often like, oh, we see someone and they're doing certain actions and we think like, oh, that person's bold, but I'm not bold. Like we have these ideas about what it has to be and what it should be. And there's so many different ways we can all show up as bold people. It doesn't have to be like, you know, getting on a Facebook Live. It can be like anything. But for me, I think it's been like being myself and doing what's true for me, like each and every day, and being okay with doing what I want to do and what I want to say, even on the days I feel uncomfortable, and even on the days when everyone else around me like thinks I'm crazy or like doesn't agree, or like just when I do something that's true to myself, that's me being bold. And that's why I think like everyone can really be bold, because what's true for me is not going to be true for you. And it's, you know, we all have different truths that we live. And I think being bold really for me and for a lot of people comes down to like being who you are as a person and being okay with that, even if that person is different than, you know, your best friend or someone in your family or your mom or your sister, or you like whoever you are as a person and however you want to express yourself, choosing every day to be that person is being bold. So
totally. Yeah. And like, I mean, I'm gonna, you know, just writing on that for a second, like it's just making me think of all these moments that come up just like in everyday life, right? Like, I mean, sometimes there's situations where we're like, okay, I'm decidedly I'm gonna get my big cojones out and I'm gonna deal with this in a bold way, right? But then a lot of the times I think the call to be bold just comes up, right? Sometimes in our daily lives and we're like in the spot. So like, how do you, like, do you have like some people tap, some people do like an inner mantra.
Like what do I say to myself?
Yeah, like.
Oh, yeah.
You have like anything?
Yeah. Oh, you know what's so funny on that question is because I think sometimes, like what you're saying, things just like naturally come up and then it's like afterward you realize you're being bold. Yeah. But there are times, yes, where things come up. Yeah. and I'm just like, and I hear, oh God, it's the worst because I hear the voice in me and it's like, shit, Kim. Yeah,
exactly. Should I? Yeah.
And it's like, you have something it's like, it's this voice that's like, you know, you have something you want to say, because sometimes I see something and maybe I don't need to be like, maybe the boldness is actually more of like a softness of like, I step back that day because I need to like take care of myself. So being bold is like putting myself first and not saying anything or not doing anything. And that is being bold as well, because that's what I need in the moment. But in that like, yeah. And, because I think people often think like bold is just like the big action. And yes, it can be, but in terms of when it is the big action, what it means is for me, like I hear this feeling inside of me. And it's like this feeling of like, I have to say something, or I have to do something. And if I don't say or do that thing, I am going to feel worse. And it's like this knowing, like it happens and it goes through my, like I feel it in my body. And then like a minute later, I feel it in my head. And then sometimes I just look, like I'd be at home, right? Or like in a situation, I just look around and I'm like, are you serious? Like really again, like right now, I really just don't feel like this right now. I feel in it, but like, and sometimes I said, I'll step away, but then sometimes it's just like, it's something like, it just, I feel it in me and I have to like do something or say something or speak up for someone. And, and it just is like this energy I feel. And then it's like, I have to be like, I give myself kind of a pep talk. I'm like, you have to say the thing, 'cause you know that it's what the truth is important. And why is it important? Because this person needs to hear it, or these people are being affected. And it's just, so it feels like I have to, but so like, that's what happens. And then I go through that, but it feels kind of like this fire in me. And I'm like, it's gotta come out. Like, what am I going to do? Swallow it? Like, it's gotta come out. It's going to implode. But like, sometimes honestly, like I will see the same things and I'll have a different reaction where it is like, actually I need to pull back. And that's me being bold as well.
Totally. No, I love that. I love that. And that's exactly it, right? It's like, what does it mean to you? You know, and there isn't like a formula or set of actions or behaviors that defines being bold, right? But I think it really is like the mindset and attitude, all about that big A.
It's an A. It's an A.
All right. Awesome. So sorry, we veered off a little bit, but we knew that was going to happen, didn't we? So okay, I know bits and bobs of your story and lots of stories, but I think everyone and anyone who's watching right now and ends up watching the replay as well would love to hear, you can pick which story to share, but would love to hear like a time when it's felt impossible for you to be bold, right? And how did you kind of overcome that? So when was the time that you just, you had to grab those cojones and make something happen that was uncomfortable?
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking about this question and like, I will share specific stories, or a story because I can like talk for 18 hours. But when I first started thinking about this, I was thinking about like how I feel like it's something I come across almost daily where like sometimes everything like, and having my own business feels so hard. Not all the time, but like parts of it feel so hard that like every single day sometimes feels like a challenge. And so it's like almost like a daily thing. Sometimes I'm like, this is great. Look at me. Life is wonderful. But like sometimes there's these days when I'm just like, this is so hard and impossible. And so it's like, just like when I just keep going, that's what is like the way I feel like that I'm challenging it and like being bold by like showing up for myself every day. I feel like that's the more general question. So how I specifically, times and stuff has been really hard. I mean, do you want me to talk about like my past career and stuff?
Yeah, why not? Whatever you,
Okay. I think like that's a big one. Yeah. Like which is like relevant to this audience too.
Yeah, exactly.
Of change school people. I feel like I've had like 18 different careers. But like,
same. Oh my God. Yeah. I was counting the other day and it was like 4 relocations, 10 jobs, 5 industries.
Yeah. Insane. Mine are kind of related, or I've like made them related in my head to make myself feel better. Either or. I had this thing of like, I really thought I wanted to work in public relations and was like positive about it. And I had this whole plan, and then I got the dream job that I wanted. Right. And it was like the job on paper that everyone's like, oh my God, like, wow. Like, how'd you, it like looks so good and like sounds so good. And everyone's like, everyone else that like works in the industry is like, oh, I wish I worked there too. That kind of thing.
Yep.
And,
I mean, it's kind of the same story that we have, right? So,
it's
but
totally
go for
similar.
it.
But it was this experience of, I was in this place, and it was like, I really thought this is what I wanted. I really thought like this was the thing, this is the career, and this was the place. And it was like the kind of like, it was like, I don't need to work other places. It was like, people like work at other places to then be able to work here. And I was like working there, and I was like, this is my dream job. And then I hated it, and I was not, I just wasn't happy like day to day, like with what I was doing. And there were elements of it that I really liked. And there were people that I worked with that were like so cool that I'm still friends with now. Okay. But like the day to day of it, and I just didn't enjoy, and I wasn't happy. And it was more than just like, oh, this is hard, I'm unhappy. It was like, this is hard, and this is not where I want my life to be going. And I felt so lost because it was like, this is what I thought I wanted to do. And this was like the job, right? Like this was the thing. And then I was like, just no idea. And so I left that job, and I don't think everyone should just like quit their job, because not everyone can. And like, I really just don't think that's like, people are like, should I just quit my job? I'm like, no,
I know.
Don't.
Well, the same problem. They're like, do you just want us to leave? We're like, no,
don't. Like do like side projects, find hobbies, like try things out. But there's more of a backstory to there. But I ended up leaving, and at the time, like people were like, what are you doing? Right? Like people were like, why would you leave like that job? Like, what are you doing? Why would you leave? Like, it just didn't make sense. And so for me, I was like, I don't know, but I know that this is, I know that this isn't going to work for me. And I sometimes I'm like, where do I get these ideas, crap? And then I just follow them. Not always a good, whatever. It's a separate issue. It's like good and bad at the same time. But it was like this thing of like, I think part of that was being bold and just trusting that like, that wasn't the right place for me. And I knew that like, if it was still the same career path, it was at a time where I thought maybe it was just like still the same career, but maybe a different place. But I knew that the thing was that I knew and trusted that like what I was currently doing and the way I was doing it was not right for me. And so my bold choice was to leave that and not do it. And figure out what the alternative was, even though I had absolutely no idea what that was. I had ideas, but I no idea. I was like, I'll be a dog walker, which I'm still like, that sounds really good because I love dogs. But like,
there doesn't seem to be that many dog walkers here.
I know, but like in my head when I was like, I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, you know, I just knew that like I couldn't be at this place, and I trusted my own that was my truth and that was okay, and that could go in all sorts of different ways for people. But I think that like, I mean, that's a lot of what I do now with people too. And like, we all know, right? We know things and we need to trust them. And like being bold is trusting that voice, and that like, not like quitting your job, but like trusting that like, if you know something doesn't feel right or isn't right, that you need to like look for an alternative, right?
Exactly. So, okay, I've got a couple questions into there that I want to dig into. So one is, oh my God, now I'm losing my train of thought. Damn it. I mean, see the distraction thing? You see how that happens? Okay.
We have a dance party. Sorry, that's just going to make it worse. Yes, focus.
Helping. I'm like, okay, now
we're here.
Okay, we're here. So, okay, the one thing, it's not the order I wanted to ask, but I'm going to run with what I remember right now. So, question is, was it like a moment where you were like, okay, I'm done, I'm handing in my letter, or was it like a lead up? And what, from what you can remember, was that kind of process like?
It was not a moment. It was not just like, oh, I'm done, I'm leaving. It was, for like a variety of reasons. I had like a lot of client relationships, and I couldn't just like peace out. I didn't want to ruin relationships I had with people that I worked with. There's just a lot of stuff going on. I think it was something that I knew for like a while, like months and months and months. And I thought it would change maybe. I think part of me thought it would change. I thought something would change, something would shift, I would do something differently. And then I did do things differently, and I got like, you know, different accounts and different experiences, new people joined, but like ultimately it was still the same of like knowing that it wasn't the right place for me. And like, I didn't love that it wasn't the right place for me, because I wasn't ready to accept that it wasn't the right place for me or the right situation, because I didn't have an answer to like what the right thing was. And I wanted so desperately, like so many people, right, to have like the one right answer that like, okay, it's just this one thing, and then I figure everything out. And I was not ready to like be like, actually that's not it, and be open to like the uncomfortable and the uncertainty and all that and whatever that came with that. So it was like something that I knew for a while, but like let it marinate, and was unsure, and you know, it was a job, and I was making money, and like, it wasn't suddenly. And then once I gave my notice, I was still there for, a while, but,
okay.
Yeah.
So that was my next question. Like, did you give yourself some time to plan for I mean, I know you didn't know exactly what, but like, were you planning anything, or were you kind of like, I'm just going to give myself some time out, or?
So I needed a timeout. I think it was like two things. I didn't know like what kind of timeout I would need. I wasn't sure. I was confident that like, I was like, you know, I was so like young and like stupid. I want to be like, I want to say something really smart, but I was like, you know, I just was like super confident that like I would figure it out. I didn't have any kids to take care of. I was sharing an apartment with my boyfriend. Like, it was like, there were things like, so I knew that like I had that privilege of like having a home that I could share with someone. And so like, would I have left if I didn't have that? No. You know, or I would have like waited a little longer and found a friend. Like, who knows? Like, it would have been a different situation. But I didn't have like a specific plan, because at that time I thought, oh, maybe I'll just work, it'll be in a different setting. I wasn't sure, but in my like heart, I knew that I needed like something had to reset. But again, like even when I left, I like wasn't ready to accept that. I thought maybe it would just be like 2 weeks. I'd go on like vacation and then be like, okay, now I know what I'm going to do.
Right. So you didn't even know you were thinking like industry switch or anything when you left, right?
No, I was like kind of vague about it. Like I was like, I don't know if this is the right fit, but I know I went through this kind of like, oh, maybe I should do PR at nonprofits. Maybe like that's the right fit for me. Like that kind of thing. And I thought maybe it was just exactly what I was doing. So I wasn't ready to give up. Cause again, there were things I liked about it. Like I liked the dynamic. I liked the energy of it. I liked the fast pace of it. I liked getting to work with all these different clients, and I loved coming up with ideas all the time. Like, see, I'm still like, there are things about it like I liked. And still liked. I liked that one of our clients was a chocolate company and there was always chocolate in the cabinet. That was great.
Perks. Gotta love the perks.
But yeah, like there are things like even looking back, like I still like about it, you know, and I did like about it and I can see it. But so no, I wasn't like, oh, I'm definitely going to change industries, like, or let alone start my own business, because my dad always had his own business and I saw that and I didn't think it was like glamorous or fun.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, oh, great, I'm going to leave this. And so, like, that was not what I was trying to do. Just,
Yeah, no, I mean, it's still, I've heard your story, and it's still never like ceases to trip me out whenever I hear you tell it, because it's just same, but different, right? I mean, it was so similar, and I totally get it. And it was the same for me too. I was like, I don't know what, but it's not this. And I was like, not ready to let go of the industry completely, but I was like, I don't know what to do with this right now. Okay, so let's skip ahead for a minute and go, so you probably took some time off, right? And you were trying to figure some things out, and then what happened? How did you end up having your own business?
No, I know. So I didn't, so I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And then I went back to these questions of like, what do I care about? Like, what do I like doing? What did I like doing when I was younger? What excites me? What about the jobs I've had? What are elements of all the experiences and jobs or different things I've done in the jobs that I did like? And like, I would literally just like brainstorm all the time on different pieces of paper and be like, well, I like this. I like working with people. I like, you know, like all of that stuff, because there's always like, yes, there's bad experiences, but with any like experience you have, there's so many different elements to it, right? And like there are things I love, like even now I was talking about PR and there's things I still like miss and love about it, like the energy of it. And so it was a lot of like tweezing out like what did I like doing, what I'm actually good at doing, what I'm interested in doing, where I'm interested in going, and then being like, okay, well, what do I do with that? And then so what I did with that is I got involved with, I just like looked where I was around me and was like, okay, how can I do this? I don't know, like all the people I knew were like lawyers and bankers and people that worked in marketing. Like I was like, great, like no one in like, you know, it's like, where are the people that like do helping things? I don't know. Or like I didn't have any friends that like had their own business. Like I had literally no idea and no one to ask. I didn't know what I was doing. I cried a lot and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I ended up moving back in with my parents, by the way, during this time too. So if anyone thinks like, let me just quit my job, like that's cool. But this is like the reality of it. I was living with my parents and I started working at 2 different nonprofits at the same, I had 3 different part-time jobs, all in different like roles. And different things with different ages, but they were all like similar things with like women and girls and bodies and weight. And
where was this? Sorry, this was in
the US. Yeah. So it was like so it was like went from UK back to US, and then I was in the US, and then this was happening. And so, then I was like, I didn't know what I was doing. And like, I would have like lots of coffees with people. I'd reach out to my network and be like, who knows who, like, this is what I'm interested in doing. Does anyone know anyone that like does something kind of related to this? And so I met people that like, I never have spoken to again, that I've met people that I've spoken to a lot more. And, and it was just like, and then I got to know kind of more people in different areas just by like, you know, being bold and like asking people and trying things. And, you know, I had like a really weird schedule there for a while with like all these different jobs, and I was like volunteering as well. And I was just trying to be like, here are my, you know, I didn't have any experience in like these nonprofit industries or places where they work with girls. And so I was like, okay, what are my skills? What can I offer to people? Yeah. So that was like one thing I did too. I found this one organization. I was like, here's what I can do. Here's how I can help. Can I get involved? And I remember this one woman, I like, we'll call it stalking, but it's like so determined. I was like, I wanted to be involved with this one place. So I like emailed them, I called them, and I wrote it in my planner. So like every 2 weeks I'd send an email. Every 3 weeks I made a call. And I was like, I know that I want to do something with these people, or at least meet with someone in some way from this organization. And so I'm going to find a way to get in front of them. And I did. But, you know, that's what it looks like. And so it was like a mixed bag of things because I didn't know. And so, you know, I think that's the thing when people think there's this one right thing of like, you buy this book, you take this course, you do this thing. It's like, yes, there's things that are helpful and all of those things, but you just have to try things out. And so that's what I ended up doing. And I was with these different places, and then my own business started because I saw things that were going on within some of these organizations, and I saw like problems that were being had and certain issues that weren't being voiced. And I was like, I've got to start my own business because someone needs to do something about this.
Amazing. Yeah, so. I love it. And I think, you know, it's so much, it's, you can even tell from the energy when you're telling the story, you know, it's like, it's how you use the energy, right? Because I find that sometimes, you know, people who feel like they're stuck, I mean, I think feeling stuck and being unsure is like increasingly the norm. So like if we can just go with this is default zone, right?
Oh yeah, default all the time.
Happy in your career already. If you are, that's awesome. But if you're not, default zone is like, I'm kind of unsure, right? And I think that a lot of times we see one or two situations, right? Either you're getting super bogged down because you're like, oh my God, have no idea, not doing anything about it, but have no idea. And then it drains you, right? And then on the flip side though, if you're like, have no idea, holy shit, so much exploring to do, so much testing that I can do. And if I'm in a job getting paid, then I'm going to start like now, right? And then letting that energy kind of make you do shit, right? And like, go volunteer and go do something else and have 3 part-time jobs and move in with your parents. And like, it's not all amazing, but it's the journey, right?
And there's no wrong answer to it, you know? It's like, it's not like you have to have all these hours and all these days and all these things, and you don't have to have 3 part. It's just like doing what you can with what you have, right? So maybe you have 1 spare hour, and maybe you use that spare hour every week to meet with someone new in like an industry you don't know anything about, or maybe use it to like offer your services to someone that like has a business that you really like, and you're like, hey, I'm really good at proofreading things. Can I offer you that for free? And like, something like that, you know? Who
doesn't love people coming to them for free work? I mean,
I'll take if anyone wants to intern for me.
Yeah.
Hi.
Same. Yeah. If you're looking for experience, please.
I'll take. Yeah, just reach out. Like I think that's the thing. People are like afraid of like the no, or like just just ask. You know.
Yeah. And chances are so much more likely you'll get a yes. But yeah. Yeah. All right. Awesome. Okay. So we kind of touched on it, but let's maybe recap for everyone. And then I want to throw out my next question. So you have lived in, I know you mentioned US, UK just now, and obviously Singapore now. But maybe you can share like where you've lived. And then one thing I'd love to know, because obviously I've, you know, made my own observations, but I'd love to hear from you. Like, do you find that being in certain places or like certain environments make it harder or easier to like evoke the bold from within? You know what I mean? Or even, okay, so there's 2 parts to it, right? One is like being bold yourself and like being able to make that come to light. But sometimes, you know, we are very much influenced by our environment, right? And have you found certain environments to be more conducive or more like enabling versus not? And then how do you
for sure. So I've lived in American originally, lived in the US, and then I've lived in England, and I lived in Singapore, and I've traveled a bunch as well. But not like had a residence in anywhere outside those, but I've traveled a lot. But I would say like for me personally, like, you know, I'm just myself, and I think I just am like you know, moved to Singapore without having ever been to Singapore, and was like, that would be fun, you know, like, I don't know if you knew that, but like, FYI. So, Yeah. So like, I think I just naturally am like a bold person, right? But I would say like how that is perceived in different places and what barriers are in place is yes, very real. And I definitely think, you know, in the US, certain things are easier because like my energy is like people are like more like like have that same like energy, like the excited, like all the things energy. I found like sometimes like in the UK actually like that energy is like that's where it's been like hardest, like not it, or I don't know, it's weird. I either get people perceiving me as like whoa what's going on here, or they're like really excited and they're like, yeah, this American girl. So yeah, I mean, sorry, I'm going off on a little, I lost the question.
That's okay.
But,
no, I mean, and you're right. I mean, there's you're right on both counts, right? I know you are one bold lady in general, and I'm sure that you're probably not very impacted either way, but you're right. The other side is like how people perceive, and it's cultural too, right? I guess it's just knowing like, how do you kind of navigate that? And like, how do you not let, you know, a less conducive environment, for example, or a less than ideal situation, how do you prevent that from holding you back, you know?
So it actually does hold me back a little bit, I'll say. But I do try to navigate around that because like that's what you do, right? When you're in different situations, you just learn to do that. I do think that like sometimes in Singapore stuff is challenging, and because like in some ways it's like, oh, it's unique because I'm the only one like with my message, but then it's also like I'm the only one with my message. And so it's, so that can be both like a pro and a con, but it's like, can be really challenging, and really difficult. Cause like, it's great to be bold. It's sometimes you just want to like not be the bold person in the room, and you just want to like be part of the room, right? You just want to be part of everything. And and so I think a lot of times like how I feel in Singapore is that like I'm the bold person, like I'm the person that's going to say what everyone's thinking, like I'm that person, and like I am that person. I'm happy to always be that person, but like sometimes it's like you just like want everyone to be like, oh yeah, the same, like same, you know. And I don't know. I think it's challenging sometimes because of that. And I think, it can be hard. It can be really hard when you have a message or you're doing something that's different and very different, and how people perceive it, and just navigating around that. So I think, you know, I think acceptance is a big part of it, and knowing that like, I can't change everything. I can't change everyone's opinion. And all I can do, which I think like applies to anyone like doing anything, is like, all you can do is, you know, I went from like being like, oh, I need to help all these people, I need to do all these things, to then being like, okay, Kim, you need to calm down and like focus on the people that are there and want to work with you. And, you know, and it's like stripping it back to just accepting that like who the people are that are interested in what you're saying and what you're doing, and being okay with that, and stop trying to do like everything and all the things. And I think the acceptance piece of it is big, and that's what it is. Like how I navigate it in different places is just accepting that things are the way they are. No matter where I am, there's always going to be pros and cons to everything, and that's okay. And no matter what anyone else is doing in life too, like every situation, there's pieces that you just have to accept, and and that's okay. And you can always find ways to navigate around things.
No, totally. No, I love it. It's so true. And I think that's the beauty too, right? Of being, you know, fortunate enough, or, you know, whatever, having those opportunities to navigate different cultures and contexts, right? And trying to still find your own bold self and voice in those different environments. And like you discover so much about yourself too, right? When you switch it up, the environment.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think it's so beneficial.
Yeah, for sure. And like, and actually, you know, you mentioned your message, and I want to talk a little bit more about that. So like, maybe you can share, I mean, I know you've been into creating this year. That's kind of been your theme, right? And you've started all these fun little things, which I've been following, and I love it. So bold, so beautiful. So yeah, why don't you share a little bit more about that, and you know how, because I think it's very integrated with this whole theme, right?
Totally. So part of what we're talking about, I realized like in my business, something I was missing was like creating things like art, like something that was like that just, there was like, whether that's like writing or actually painting or like whatever you do, like dance, like I was missing this piece of like creating, you know. I was like getting so tied up in like the coaching and like the other piece, I missed like making things and doing things. So one thing I was doing was like, I just finished out this like 100-day project where I was like 100 things I want to say, right? And some of them I was like, I started it, and it was so interesting because the process of it, it's on Instagram, by the way, but I also shared them on Facebook. But part of it was like, I started out and I was so nervous. I was like, you know, it's simple, right? Like the things I want to say, but then the things I want to say sometimes are really like loud, and sometimes they're like nice. They're like, you're doing a great job, but usually they're not as like light and fluffy like a Pinterest board, which is fine. I have this, like, it says go get it done there. That's inspirational. Great. But like, there are things that I felt like were important to say that I wanted to say, and they were loud and bold and aggressive. And sometimes they like made people stop and think like, whoa. And, and it was like, part of that was like holding myself accountable every day and saying things that I felt were important. And it tied into my business, because part of my business is saying those things and getting people to like trust themselves and listen to their own voice and let that voice guide them. So that was one thing. And then the other thing was my my satire Instagram account. I love
it. I just love it.
I only started it. This is like, it still feels kind of new. I made a satire Instagram account called, it's at Lifestyle Change Barbie, and her name's Ashley. And it's like my take on, so I do coaching with people around like food and their bodies and perfection around everything, and just getting people to like trust themselves and like stop with like the nonsense all the time. And a lot of the nonsense I see both in person and online, I use that for this account. And so it's like almost like that, it's like the like person that you see on Instagram times a million, with like, I made her a public figure, you know, it's a whole thing. And she does like the cleanses and everything. Everyone always does this thing of like, it's not a diet, it's just a lifestyle change. And I'm like, you're literally still selling the diet, you just changed your marketing. Yeah. And it's like, and part of it was like, I just missed like this element of having fun and creating in my business. Right. And that's like, if you're not having fun with what you're doing, yes, like not every day of your life, whatever you're doing is going to be fun and exciting. But I think if there's this element of like fun missing from what you're doing in some way, maybe it's when you leave the door and you leave work behind, fine, whatever. But, it's, you know, rediscovering that for me. And that's been a lot of writing, and also this like Barbie that I created. And it's like, just lets me have a little fun, but also use it as like a tool for my business of like saying the things I want to say in this kind of like light, fun way of being like, isn't this ridiculous that this Barbie is saying that, but it's also really what people say and do. And how is that helping people? Is this helping? Is this harming? What does that say? What should we actually be saying? So it ties into what I'm doing. But yeah, like I started that, I guess in December. And, part of that was like, I was like, I'm going to make people uncomfortable and piss people off. And also this is what I want to do. So, well.
Well, I freaking love it. Are you pissing people off really? Or do people get upset about it? I can't imagine.
You know, I mean, people get upset at me all the time for things.
Okay. That's all right. Don't worry.
I make people uncomfortable because I tell the truth. I say the truth, and I call people out on stuff. So, you know, I do a post where it's like Ashley Lifestyle Change Barbie, talking about how people can only have organic soy and, you know, plant-based paleo, whatever. But it's also like, is that accessible to everyone? No. Right. Is that accessible to everyone's like Filipino helper? No. So let's stop selling it to everyone else.
I love it.
But yeah, I mean, so I think it's not that like people are like, oh gosh, Kim, you're an asshole. But it is like, sometimes people that like, they're like, you know, I call something out and then people are like, it makes them uncomfortable. And so they're like, oh, I don't want to I'm just going to stay in my bubble. Like, okay, fine. That's fine. But
no, that's totally fine. And in the social media world, I mean, I think, you know, that's the other thing. And I know there's a link somewhere with boldness in here, you know, is like that whole thing of like allowing open debates, discussions, just having freaking dialogue happening, you know, around things, I think is like it doesn't always have to be like agreement, right? For it to be good.
Yeah. Oh no, not at all.
Talked about, you know? And so
Yeah.
like, I'm all for it. And I think, you know, it's actually a really good sign if you are being bold, right? When people are like, wait, hang on, right? And, you know, you're doing something right.
It's so uncomfortable though. Sometimes it's so uncomfortable. And that's the truth. It's like sometimes when you're bold, it's uncomfortable. But yeah, no, it's not all about agreeing on everything, but it is about having discussions about things. And I think that's how we all move forward with like whatever we're doing in our lives, is by talking about it.
Exactly. And I think also it's not about just, you know, having such a strong voice and opinion for the sake of it, right? But it's like about, you know, getting whatever your truth is out there. And what I like about your message, or what you're saying there, is like, you know, it's kind of similar, like with our message at the Change School, is like, you know, how do you create new lifestyles or work styles, right, that can actually be sustainable, right? So that it's not dependent on having access or having the ability to get something special or out of reach, or, you know, something difficult to integrate, right? And how do you make it so that it's just sustainable?
Exactly. Like you don't have to quit your job. Like we were saying, you don't have to just quit your, like, it's not like, hey, quit your job and go do this and go like live in Bali for like 8 months. No, it's like, hey, here are some tools that you can try that might help you move forward.
Exactly. And I mean, the creating part, I mean, I totally dig it. And same for me. Like, I mean, I'm very fortunate and happy that a lot of my work does involve creating, but it's also like, I want to create in other ways, you know? And so like yesterday I went and painted, and the other day I was in the museum, and like, I think it was on Saturday, I gave myself a full half day to just creating playlists on Spotify. Like, I don't know. Oh my
God, that's amazing.
Anymore, but like, I love it. So yeah, I mean, it's just about creating those things for yourself, however it looks, right? Inside your company, outside, on your weekends, on your weekday nights, whatever it is, but making it work. Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing. And I'm sure I wanted to see if you could share maybe like some final tips for people to kind of take home with them, and maybe they can make it their Monday Mojo mindset mantra. Any more M's you can think of?
That was so good. That like so, 4 M. That was so smooth. I liked it. It was so good.
Yeah. So what have you got that we can share with guys? We want them to have a...
Yeah, so I wrote some down, but I'll glance at them and I'll say them.
Go for it.
So 5 bold tips. Number 1, ignore everyone else, including your best friend. I'm sure your best friend's great, you know, everyone watching, but like, you know, they aren't you. And so I think a lot of times we just default to other people's advice, right? And so it's like, yes, take advice and lessons from other people, but ultimately, like, don't let other people be the guide of you as a person. And you just have to be your own guide, right? And so take things in, but know what to like get rid of. Like take what works, get rid of the rest. Take what works, get rid of the rest. Even if it's like your best friend and this amazing person and you love them and you went to high school with them and they're your, you know, sister, who knows? Just, second one is say the thing that needs to be said, even if it makes someone angry. Do it anyways, right? That doesn't have to be career related. That could be like, you have a friend and you need to say something to her and she's done something or he's done something that like upsets you, or like say it, don't hold it in and then 5 years later bring it up, right? Like say it. I mean, don't tell your boss to F off, but like, you know, like maybe like bring up to HR, bring it up to like HR or something, you know, like find ways to say what you need to say.
Totally.
The third one is self-care and rest. You need to give yourself breaks. Like that is part of being bold, is resting and giving yourself breaks and taking care of yourself, because like no one like can keep going if they don't take breaks. And I think we often forget to do that and don't take care of ourselves, right? We just go. And it's like, no, like stop, slow down when you need to. The fourth one is set boundaries, you know your limits, sometimes break them because you need to, but like know when you need to like stick true to those boundaries. And then the last one is like, just keep going, because you're probably going to be stuck again and uncomfortable some other time, and things happen and that's okay. And we all live our lives, but like, we just have to keep going. So yeah, That's
Amen, sister. I love it. And if you don't mind, I'm just going to add a little bit. So first of all, I just want to say thank you for sharing those tips. Those are awesome. And they are actually tips that I need for myself. So guys, for those of you who are watching, I've captured these tips in a little downloadable worksheet that you can get your hands on at bit.ly Change School TV 30 download. Don't worry, I will post the link in a moment. And Kim, I am going to download it and print it for myself because literally, like, back to what you said at the very start, right? We know things. All of us know things. You know, it's not like rocket science. It's just that we need those reminders, right? And we need them in different ways. We need people to tell them to us. We need to stick up tips and pin them, you know, somewhere visible that we're reminded of them. We need mantras. We need so many things. And I mean, I think like I can totally relate to everything you said. So just to double up as a recap as well, it was ignore everyone else, right? And I think that's something like for me, it's always work in progress because and it's hard because you have to find balance. I value so many people's views and opinions and experience, right? And I really want to like get in their brains and pick it and try and avoid mistakes, right? If I can. But one is you can't really avoid the lessons that you were meant to learn, right? They're going to get you somewhere.
They're going to get you.
They're going to get you, you know? And so it really is, you know, not, just taking it with a grain of salt, right? And that's a constant reminder, even for me. And, you know, the second thing you said was say the thing that needs to be said. And it's so true. Like, I know how many times I've held back on something just because I felt like, oh, I need to be really, really sure before I say it. Or, you know, oh my God, is this person going to take it the wrong way? Right. And I think like all of us, everyone, if they say this doesn't happen to them, they're bullshitting, right? All of us have experienced this at different points. And I think it is just being aware of it, right? And being able to go, okay, yes, it feels so uncomfortable. Yes, someone might get upset. Yes, I am freaking out and I'm going to say it anyway.
Yeah.
Right?
That's like the exact cycle of it as well.
Yeah,
it's like, and then you're like, oh shit, it happened.
Whoops. Yeah. And the self-care and rest, oh my God, so true. And I'm sure almost everybody and anybody who's watching right now would totally relate to that. And it's actually something I'm really, really working on myself. And it's even if it's mini breaks, right? Like sometimes we're it has to be a holiday or, I've got to go, you know, and that's not, once again, sustainable, right?
No.
If you
10-minute walk.
Exactly. You know, half day on the weekend, whatever, right? Whatever it is you need. And then the setting boundaries piece. So that's something like I've been working through as well. And I think there's sometimes something someone told me the other day, which I thought was really great, is like, there's a difference between like blocking things, right? Block. I don't want to feel this. I don't want to deal with this. I'm just not. And setting boundaries, right? Which is so different, right? It's not saying block. It's like I'm creating space for myself, which I think is part of the self-care. And then just keep on going, right?
Yeah.
Like we all do.
Yeah. We do.
And now it's a Monday, so we got to keep on going for the week ahead. All right. Well, I mean, so I'm sorry. I know we've gone all over the place, left and right, back and front, but I think we covered a lot, and I'm so happy to have had you on the show and for you to share. Is there anything you want to add? Like, where can people find more info about you? Where can maybe you can share again the Insta pages that they can follow and anything else you want to add?
Sure. Yeah. My website is kimberlyweiss.com. Spelled the American way. So it's KIMBERLY, WEISS. And all my links for social media are in there. I'm on Instagram at Kimberly Weiss, and my satire account that we were talking about is at Lifestyle Change Barbie. And yeah, I'm on Facebook. Oh, I have a podcast called F Your Diet. I'm like, oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, I have a podcast. That was a whole thing. I was like, can I call it that? Yes, I can. So it's called F Your Diet. It's in the iTunes store, like anywhere where you listen to podcasts. It's on my website as well. So like my website's the best place to go to get everything. But yeah, I want everyone to like, if anyone takes away anything, I think it like really should be that there's no like one right way to be bold as well too. Like it doesn't have to be these like big, huge action steps. It can be like small things that you think are not like you being bold, but it's not something you normally do. And so you doing that is being bold, and that's amazing. So I think we often like don't give ourselves credit for those like little ways we show up for ourselves, and that's all like amazing. So
absolutely.
yeah.
All about celebrating every single win.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, so guys, don't worry. I will post all the links to connect with Kim that she just shared, and I'll also share the link to download her 5 tips. And that's a wrap. Thank you so much, Kim. And for those of you watching, we'll be back next week for episode 31 of Change School TV. And I think what we've got in store is a behind the scenes with our little bold team at the Change School. So you guys can finally see all the faces behind everything that we're always putting out there, aside from me and Grace. So there are more faces than just mine and Grace's, believe it or not. And so you'll get to meet them next Monday, same time, same channel. All right, Kim, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. This was really fun.
It's been awesome. Bye, guys. Have a great week ahead.
Bye.